Hello and welcome to the first in our tutorials videos for medieval engineers. This will be the first of many parts in this series. Today we're going to focus on large grid mechanics, so I'll hand you over to my Tiddles.
Hello. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the big blocks and their integration with voxels. So I've taken the first 3 blocks on the G menu, and this is how they place in voxels. So you can aim at anywhere on the world within range. You have a range of around about 25 meters around the character that you can aim at. And then as you see, the blocks are placed deep into the voxels, depending on the gradient of the voxels that you're aiming at. This is a lot better than Space Engineers, as you couldn't place blocks anywhere near the asteroids in Space Engineers. These blocks also act as the foundations for your structures when you have structural integrity turned on. So we'll do a few examples here. There we go. The next thing is you can build in lines and planes, and you do this by holding Control and then left click and dragging. You can also do Control Shift, left click and drag to make planes of blocks. You can do the same thing for deleting with Control right click and Control Shift right click. Next thing is rotations. To rotate a block, you use the Q and E keys on your keyboard. This will rotate the blocks in one axis, as most of these big building blocks can only be rotated in a single axis. Like so. There we go.
Alright, so next on the list we have the plus blocks, as we're calling them. These are blocks with a plus in the top right corner of the symbol, and this basically means they have special little kind of orientation slash positioning of things within the blocks that can be changed by using the mouse wheel. So you can see here the door is changing from one side of the block to the other side of the block, and you might just think that it could be rotated, but if you rotated it, the door would just move around on the same axis, so it would be, really irritating if you wanted the door on the other side of the corner. So there's a few blocks to do this. We're going to run through a few of them just to show how really useful this is. You see, for example, the double doors there would be impossible without the orientation being changed of the door on the block. So you're just scrolling through with the mouse wheel to change the orientation. Oh, that's really cool.
This means that basically you can have lots of things, lots of different blocks on, well, you have access to lots of different blocks at the same time without having lots of stuff on your hotbar. So here we have 3 different doorways on one block. So you can have the door central, centered left, or centered right.
This is a very clever idea. I'm so into this.
Let's just build a little wall here that we can demonstrate this on. So here on the battlements, you can have the normal straight battlements, then you can switch it into the corner mode, back to the normal, and then there's an inverse corner as well. Here. Like that.
Super useful. That is super useful.
We'll switch to the crenellations. You can do the same thing with these.
A wonderful word, by the way.
Yes, it is. I don't think that's what they're called in game. No, they're called battlements. I believe these are called crenellations, actually.
We will write to them.
Yes, we shall. On Skype. There's also 2 sets of crenellations, as you can see with the little black and white icon. This means that they are centered to the middle of the block, and this means they're centered to the right-hand side. So this block here is centered to the left of the block, or the right, depending on the rotation. And this one is centered to the middle, so you can use it for different things. This is also very useful for making things like stairs, as you can have left to right and right to left stairs on the same block. Like this.
You can make some really pretty staircases with that, actually.
Yes, you could. Like this.
Yeah. You can go crazy with that shit.
Ooh. There you go.
It's awesome.
Then we'll cut again. Next on the list is blocks inside other blocks. This is a new feature to Medieval Engineers that isn't available in Space Engineers, and it's probably the best building tool that we have so far. So if you take any block that doesn't fill up the entire grid space, which is 2.5 meters cubed, like this block fills up the entire thing, this thing doesn't. So in Space Engineers, you wouldn't be able to place anything else in this red bounding square here. But in Medieval Engineers, if you hold down Alt whilst looking at it, you'll be able to place another block there, which means you have two blocks in the same grid square, and these will actually work properly with everything, including projectiles, so they'll actually work properly. So this means you can create incredibly enclosed spaces or really intricate designs that wouldn't be possible in other Space Engineers. So we'll create like this, and then we can put like a staircase in here.
You could make a really badass dungeon with that too, couldn't you?
You could, yeah. Let's just put blocks here. You could even put one of these blocks inside here as well. No, you can't do that. Okay. Is that the right block? 8. Yep. So that we have in here, we have 3 blocks in the same grid space, which would be impossible in Space Engineers. You'll also notice that these blocks down the center, as well as these blocks on the corners here, are auto-generated to hide any clashing geometry that will cause Z fighting, as it's called. And they also look pretty cool, like these centers here look really cool.
Alright, and here we have multi-blocks. Using what we've just learned about the placing blocks within blocks with the Alt key, we can use these large, complex multi-blocks to kind of, well, what they really are is big blocks that round off corners, fill in gaps, and do things that you would take quite a long time to do normally with just the one block on your hotbar. So what we have here is a rounded corner for the edge of this, well, castle wall, I suppose. So using the Alt, we can slot that right in next to the wall. And that one block we just placed down there would normally be 4 different blocks all in one, which just showed destroying it would, it requires 4 different areas of destruction before it will disappear. So really a good, very good tool that you can use to, make a nice finish, make life easier. Very good.
So you can use these blocks in conjunction with these stone platforms, actually they're called here, and these blocks here, battlements. So you can place like that there, and one on the other side, and then stick one here, and it works perfectly as a sort of castle battlements here.
It's a lovely castle wall.
Yep. So finally we have roofs, and these are very interesting. This one is a plus block. This is the roof tile. This one here on the G menu. So this one here with the mouse wheel, we have 3 different blocks on the same menu option. So we can place that one down, and you'll see the bounding blocks of this block. And you'll actually see these, there's a lot of generated blocks around the outside. This is to fill in any gaps that there would be between other blocks. So if we place one here, holding down Alt, you'll see that it fills in the gaps, and also fills in the gaps to the ground, and puts this little like tiling on top that would fill in the gap between. So we'll do the same on this side. You can also do corners the same way, so we'll switch to the inverse corner block. We'll plonk that in there. And we'll put this one there. So you can make very fluid roofs very easily without the need for lots of little blocks to hide all the little holes that would be.
You've done all of this with just 2 blocks in your hotbar.
This is just 1 block.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
This is
God,
just 1 block
me.
on the hotbar. And then if you're, depending on what your house was, if it was like this, you could have this kind of thing. I think this block will solve itself. Yep,
It will.
there we go. Solved
Yep.
itself. Or if your house was a odd amount wide, you'd be able to do something like this. Block here, and then place one of these. You might need to put a block underneath actually.
You don't. You aim at the corners and it works.
Does it? Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Like that. Put these little things here. There you go.
And there's also a really pretty block to fill in that little triangle of space you can see at the end there. One of my favourite things to do in the entire game, I think.
So we'll fill in the last one there. And the pretty little blocks that Harry's on about is this wall wooden top.
Yep.
Which you can hold on
Just
Alt.
give that an Alt click into it, and there you go. Oh, perfection.
Sealed all these holes, and we'll go inside.
It's
so you
things
can
like
see
that that really tickle my
creative buds.
yes, creative buds. That's what I was going to say.
No, you weren't. So there you go. You see, there's absolutely no holes on the inside, like there would be in other games that would do something similar without generating all these little blocks here.
It's impressive.
So that's it for the block tutorial.
Well, thank you for watching, everyone. There'll be plenty more tutorials coming in the future. Give us suggestions if you fancy any particular tutorial. We'll be happy to cover it for you. I'm glad to help. Thank you for watching.
Goodbye.